What's up guys, welcome back, and in this video I'd like to explore how to use Algolia with Vue JS. Now I'm pretty happy with our current vanilla JS implementation, and I'm going to stick with that for the master branch of our GitHub repo. So for this video I'll make a new branch, and you can just check out that one if you want to see the Vue specific code. So let me just make a new branch here. Let's call it Vue Algolia. Okay, so if you remember, we have two of the plugins that Algolia has. We have this InstantSearch here, and we have this Autocomplete here. Now, Algolia only has a Vue library for InstantSearch, so we'll make use of that first. But for Autocomplete, it doesn't have one, so we'll just make a custom Vue component for that. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Into my code. And the first thing I want to do is just get Vue installed. So let me just go to my layout file. I have to wrap everything in an ID of app. So just like that. And then here. And now I'm going to go to my search results Algolia Vue file. And I'm going to add what's going to be the compiled JavaScript. Sorry, I spelled that wrong. Script. It's going to be just app.js. Now let's go to our app.js in our resources file. And let's uncomment this. We'll make use of this. Now let's go back to our Vue file and let's add the example component somewhere up here. Let's just put it right here. Alright, let me just do npm install. And now let me do a watch. Alright, let's see if that appeared. Oh, there's an error somewhere. For some reason it can't find Vue loader. Not sure why. Okay, so I deleted my package lock.json file, and I also deleted my node modules folder, and I redid the npm install, and after that it seemed to work. And here's our example component here, so we know we have Vue working. Now let's go ahead and install this Vue component for InstantSearch. Okay, so let's just do this, npm install the library. Let me just stop this. And then we'll run the watcher again when it's done. And we can import it in our app file. So in our app.js, right up here, let's just put it here actually. And we can use it. Let's put it right here. And let's run our watcher again. Okay, so this seems to have broken our functionality. Let's go back to my code into the Vue. I think I have to put the app above our JavaScript, see if that works. Okay, so it's back to normal. And let's just see how to use this Vue component. Okay, so we can just actually grab this. We don't need the templates because we're just going to use it straight from within the Vue, the blade file I mean. So right here, we don't need this anymore, and we can just paste that in and see if that works. And there we go. Now this is using their index, so let me just put my credentials in here. So let me just grab it from here. App ID is this. API key is this. And the index name is products. And there is our index. Cool. We'll worry about the CSS later. Let's just worry about getting all the components on the page for now. So we have this search box, we have the hits, and now let's do this stats container. So let's see, there's stats somewhere here. There we go. So it's just this, and we're just using the default settings, so that should be all. See if that works. I'm not sure what happened. Oh, sorry, it has to go within this AIS index. There you go, stats are right there. Actually, let me put that below the search box. Let's move this up. Okay. Next is this refinement list. So back here, refinement list. Okay, and the attribute name, if you remember the last video, is called categories. So let's put this refinement list on top of the search results, right underneath the stats. Let me just put some space in here. And categories. And there it is. It's the same as these ones down here. If we take this out. Yep, so 9, 10, 9, 30. Yep. It's just this one is ordered. I actually did this behind the scenes after the last video. Let me just show you what I did there. So which one was that? It was a refinement list. Yeah, I just added this sort by name ascending. So if we go back to the blade file, let's check out the documentation. So refinement list, here it is. So sort by, we can just add this as a prop in our Vue component, and we can just add that name ascending there. So we can just do this. Sort by as a prop equals name ascending. And that should sort it. Cool, so now it's in the alphabetical order. Next is pagination. So pagination, let's look for it. There it is. Okay, and I think I'm just using the defaults here, so that should be it. Pagination, let's put it under the results. And there is pagination. Does it work? Yes, it does work. Okay, cool. You can see how easy that was using the Vue plugin. Now let me just replace this with our Vue version. So back to our code. So we're going to need to wrap this AIS index here. And let's close it out after this is done, right here. and then we can begin replacing each component. So search box was in here, so we no longer need that one. Cool. And the stats container is this one. Okay. Refinement list is this. Cool. And then in the right side of the column, we have our hits, and that corresponds to our results here and the pagination as well. So let me just replace these. And that should do it. Now we don't need this stuff up here. And let's see if it works. It does. Clients. Okay, cool. Now, the HTML that it produces, for some reason, it's different than the vanilla JavaScript library. That's why it looks weird. Pagination is all messed up. But we can, since we have custom CSS for our results, we can actually make that work. So let me show you how to do that. So if you go into the template for the results in our original video, where is it? Right here is the template that we came up with for the search result. And we can basically do the same thing. And I'm going to grab this HR as well. So for our Vue component, you can see that the template lives right here. Right here. Let me just reindent this. So if I just put gibberish in here, that should be what shows up. Cool. So if I just paste that in from what we had before, but we have to wrap it in a div because it has to have a root tag. And now we have to replace a few things here. So for the anchor tag, I don't know why I did this originally. I don't need this origin. I just need a relative URL. So I can just do something like this. I'm going to use template strings here. I can just do /shop/ and the result is the thing coming in, and we need the slug. And that should do it. Same with the image source. Actually, I have to bind this now. So I'll just do that. Same with the source. Don't need this. We can just use a template string again. So storage and result.image. So that should work. And for these, it's just the value coming in. So name, details, and price. And I erased it, but if you want the highlight coming in, it should be somewhere here. Where is it? AIS highlight, right here. We just need something like this. Let me just copy this. And we can use this for the name. And name is correct. We want this for the details. So let's go to details. And for price, there's no highlight. but we can just do something like this. Since we're in a blade file, we have to put at. Actually, let me just do it from scratch. So we want the $sign. We have to put at because we're in blade and we want to use the double curly brace. So we're going to do result.price divided by 100 .to fixed 2, and that should do it. Let's see if that worked. And it didn't work. Okay, this is not showing. Why is it not showing? I probably have an error somewhere. No, it's a warning. Oh, sorry. Result.image. Should do it. There you go. Why isn't it? Okay, like I said earlier, the HTML that comes back is a bit different than the vanilla JavaScript version, which screws up the CSS we wrote. So if you just look at this, we have this InstantSearch result class, which I styled correctly last time. So let me just look at my CSS. And here it is. I'm nesting it under this AIS hits item, but I don't think that exists here. It doesn't. So let's change that to AIS results. So let's just change this to, what was it? AIS just dash results. And that should do it. Is my watcher running? Yes, it is. And there you go. Now it looks like how it was before. Well, at least sort of. And the rest of this stuff is just CSS. And I'm not going to go through that because that's going to take too long. And also the pagination is a bit messed up. I think you just have to like maybe change it to display flex and it will go in a row. But yeah, the HTML that comes back from this library is different, so it affects the CSS. So just spend some time and make it look like how it was before with your awesome CSS skills. Okay, now let's work on this autocomplete plugin. And like I said earlier, there is no Algolia plugin for Vue for this. So let's just make a custom one for ourselves. Enter our code. And I forgot what I called that. Okay, so it's partials.search. Okay. And this is the autocomplete markup. Let me just cut that. And let me just put the example component in here just to make sure it works. Cool. So let's go ahead and make a new one. I'm going to call it Algolia autocomplete. And we will make a new component. So let's go ahead and do that. Where are we? Resources, assets, components. Let's just duplicate this one. Let's call it Algolia autocomplete .view. And let's just do this. And let's go to our app.js. Let's just duplicate this. Let's call it Algolia autocomplete and Algolia autocomplete. Save it, and that should do it right there. Okay. Cool. Okay, so let's take a look at our original JavaScript, which is here in the Algolia.js. Actually, no, let's just paste the markup, and that should show now. Okay, and there it is, like it was before. Let me go back to the blade file. Now this appears on several pages, but I'm just going to do it for this particular page. So this is the search results Algolia blade file. And here is where we're calling it. So I'm going to comment this out because we're going to replace this with our Vue code. So this shouldn't work, obviously. Okay. Okay, so here is the JavaScript that makes it work. So if I just copy everything in here, go to my Vue component, and just stick it in the mounted method, then theoretically that should work. Let me just indent. That looks decent. Save that. It builds. Let's refresh. And it works. But now we're using a Vue component. But this isn't exactly the cleanest solution. Let's make it a bit more robust. So if we go back into our other component we just did, so if we just go into here, and we can see that we're doing this index over here, and we're passing in the app ID, API key, and the index name. So let's do something similar for our custom component. So we have to pass in props. So we can do that here. Props. And usually you might be used to passing in an array, but you can actually pass in an object like this. And we can pass in those three things. So app ID, and we can actually make them required here. So type is string, and required is true. And we can do the same for the other ones. We just copy this, and so one for API key, and one for index name. And now instead of defining it here, we can just reference the prop. So we can just do this dot app ID, this dot API key, and this dot index name. And back where we call it, where is it? In this search, I think. Yeah, so we can pass in props here. And let me just grab it from here. It's exactly the same thing. Cool. And let's see if that works. Let's refresh. And it still works. Cool. One more thing. Something similar. Say we want to pass in the placeholder from here. So like this. Placeholder equals search with Algolia. Because right now it's hard-coded. And we don't want that. So where am I? See, right now it's hard-coded in here in the template. And we don't want that. So we can just use a prop like this and just reference it using placeholder. And we'll add that as a prop. Right anywhere here. And we can actually set a default here. So if we don't pass in the prop, it will just default to this. But if we do pass it in, then it will use that. So that worked. So it uses the prop we passed in. But if I take that out, sorry, it's in search. If I don't pass in the placeholder, then it will just use the default. There we go, cool. Now, this component can be cleaned up a lot more. For example, we can split this up into different methods. And one thing I never got around to doing was extracting this to maybe like a slot, a custom slot, or a name slot or a scope slot within Vue. So we can put this in a template, similar to how we do it in the other here. Let me show you. Yeah, right here. So it has a scope slot here, and the template for a result is right here. I haven't looked into it that much on how to do that, so I'm not going to do that here. But if I do, just check out the GitHub repo, and that should be in there. And like I said before, we only did it for this page. Let's see if this still works. Okay, but we see it doesn't show up here because we didn't add it for this page. For the rest of the pages where this autocomplete appears. So this is the product page. Let's go to, let me just, what is it? Yeah, it's this. Sorry, it's this app.js. And let's go to the product page. And we can just add it right here. And that should work, hopefully. And there it is. Does it work? It does work. And does the JavaScript still work? Yeah, the other JavaScript still works. Cool. And so just add that on the other pages, cart, and wherever else this autocomplete appears. So there you have it, guys. We've managed to extract our vanilla.js Algolia plugins into Vue components if you want to use Vue instead. Like I said earlier, I'm going to keep this in a separate branch and just go with the vanilla.js implementation we did before. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.